Well, hello, Daisy.
Nice.
How are you? Oh, Philip's already here saying hi from Jacksonville. That's exciting. Let's get this started, albeit 2 hours late, because clearly I need an AI to schedule things for me because I am not capable of scheduling appropriately. I
What
think
happened?
I don't know. It all looked good to me a week ago when I did it. I don't know what happened. I'm going to blame LinkedIn because I'm blaming them for everything right now. And we're going to figure this out. And I don't know what to do. And it's all good. And that thing. But welcome back, my friend. It's so good to see you. I am so excited about today, about our third episode of The Glass House. Very exciting. And I am thrilled that we are going to talk about something very fun. I want to, though, say a couple things, if you don't mind, before we start. And that is that last week was amazing. If you haven't seen it, for those of you who haven't seen last week's episode, you can find it on LinkedIn and you can also find it on our YouTube channels. And our guest was Josh Allen Dykstra, a very good friend of mine who really set the stage for helping us understand what's happening in this age of AI in terms of capabilities and humans and all these amazing things. And I don't know about you, Daisy, but can I share the one thing that really hit me? Is that
Of course.
okay? Yeah. I've been talking about it all week. He talked about the capability, like what AI is doing to the workforce, right? I won't go into the whole thing. You have to watch it. It's so good. But what really made me excited about the things that are happening was this notion that AI is going to remove the middle of what we do, kind of the administrative stuff, the stuff that I hate, the spreadsheets and making PowerPoints and doing all that stuff. So ultimately, it gives us more space to be creative and strategic and come up with things that we never thought we could do before because we were so in the muck, right? And I am finding that, except for scheduling, which I don't have an AI doing, and clearly I mess it up. I find that to be exciting, right? I find that to be just thrilling, the idea that people are going to have more ability and more time and more creativity, et cetera. So I encourage everybody to go listen and also to find Josh on all the appropriate channels because he's amazing. So what about
No,
you?
no, that's a good point too. Like leaders are associating AI for a big change, but really it's those little changes that they haven't really identified of how it's going to affect,
Yeah.
internally,
Yeah.
the use of it and how their employees are probably should embrace it.
Yeah.
It's little things. So one of
Yeah.
my biggest takeaway, there was actually two, but I'm going to talk about the escalator.
Oh my God. I told him I was going to steal that too. I
Yeah.
forgot about it. Thank you. Because it's so funny. Go ahead. I'll let you tell the whole
So
thing.
escalator really is, it's a fact. It's basically AI is this new thing. It's a nice shiny thing. I want one. I want one. I want one. So that's going to become how when AI first came out of the gate. I want one. I want one. I want to build one. I want to build one. So he associated with the escalator that I want an escalator. I want an escalator. So every company need an escalator. And then towards the end of the story, it's like, I even got an escalator and I only had one floor. So what's the purpose of me getting an escalator when I have nowhere to place it to go up? I
Mhm.
only have one floor. So
Oh, we lost Daisy. Oh no. Okay, she's going to be back, I'm sure. She just got knocked out somehow. Whilst Daisy is away from us for just a moment, there she is. I see her come back.
I don't
There
know.
you are.
It just went, swoops, I went away like in a snap of a
There's
finger.
something going on here today.
Let me tell you, and those might think I'm crazy for saying this, there is a geomagnetic storm going on with
From
solar
where?
flares. With solar
Come on.
flares. Google it. Google
No,
it.
no, we don't Google anymore. This is what we're going to talk about. That is the perfect entrance to what we want to
Oh
talk
my
about.
God, yes, I did that.
All right. I want to get started because we have so much to talk about. We're 2 hours late anyway. We're going to blame the geo thing for whatever you talked about, the geostorm for everything. We are here today on our Wednesday, so we're at least we got the day right. I'll go with that. Today's episode is what AI says about you when you're not in the room, right? And to your point, you said Google, but I'm going to say we don't Google anymore, right? That's kind of the old way, back in the 1700s when we would Google things, because now we're ahead of the game, right? And for those of you who know me, and we'll do a quick intro as well in case you don't actually. Let's do that before we even dig in further. For those of you who don't know me, I am Shara Halixer. I am the founder and chief momentum officer of Engage 3P. I am your strategic momentum partner in everything that is organic to your organization around your people, your process, and your platforms. We have an embodiment change platform that I would love to talk to anybody about who's trying to figure out how to bring things to life within your organization. And I really believe in embodying the things in your organization and not embedding them. And I'm happy to talk about that anytime. Daisy, I'll turn it over to you for just a moment and then we'll go on.
Daisy Watkins, founder CEO of DW Concepts, and the product is LumaPath.ai, specializing in marketing consulting. We're a marketing consulting agency, but our specialty niche right now is AI visibility, which is often referred to as AEO. People also use GEO for it. So that's what we do. AEO is about branding as well. So we'll talk about it a lot more today, and then we'll dig in. So, and then we'll talk about a little bit more about what Shara and I do as well for other stuff that we're collaborating with the Glass House.
Yeah. That's exciting. We're really doing some moving and shaking here with this. I want to encourage everyone to chime in, to make comments, to talk to us and let us know what you think, because we love the interaction and that's a lot of fun. And we see them on the screen, so we can definitely chat with you about it. So today, it's just the two of us today. And we really want to talk about that, right? What's happening, what's being said about us and why and how and what's going on. So as I started to say before, for those who do know me, I don't Google anymore. I use ChatGPT. I'm a big proponent of Claude. I find that to be really exciting. And if I want to do something, I used to go to Yelp or go to Google and, best restaurant, best sushi in near me, right? That was kind of the thing. I don't do that anymore. I go to Claude and I start to, I learned to talk to text, right? So I don't type it. And I even do it on my phone. I talk into my phone and I blather on. Hi, I feel like going to dinner. I feel like sushi. I don't want to do this. I want that. And it's me. Authentically, we talk about authenticity. I am authentically me talking into my AI and to find what I need, right? And so I would presume that that's happening across the board, right? It's not just about going to dinner and finding the best sushi. It's about, I want to find the best change management program for my organization. I want to find the best marketing agency for my new startup company. That's what we want to talk about, what's being said in the age of AI. And I would assert, you and I have done the work. We're going to do a little preview of that. You've taught me so much. I'm shocked. I just found something this week because you told me what to do. It's so exciting. So I think it's interesting, right? And I want to really turn it over to you, why we're doing this, right? This is your expertise. You are a pioneer in the transition from SEO to AEO, which I'll let you talk about all the lovely acronyms, and why this is all happening and what's happening and what we need to do, both personally and professionally, right? Mm-hmm. Who are we? What's going on out there? How do we find, how do people find us and what we are doing, and make sure that it's accurate and make sure that it's good stuff, right? We want to make sure that we're positioned well and that there aren't falsehoods out there, et cetera. So I'm really excited, Daisy, to turn this over to you and we'll get started.
Thank you, Shara. So a couple of, let me start with, when was the last time you ever AI'd yourself? When was the last time you tried to AI your company? Meaning, when I would talk about AI in this segment, that means large language models, LLMs, such as Google. Excuse me, I'm going to blame the Geo for my lack of speech today.
This is the same
Geostorm. Okay. So I'm talking about ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, although is a rag. And then we've got Claude. So when was the last time you've asked your own tool? And a couple of things too. You can ask it directly while you're logged in, so it clearly knows who you are. So it will give you some biased answers probably. But when I say, when have you searched and you're not biased, make sure you're in incognito mode. But the point is, what does it say about you? Right.
So let me stop you for 1 second, Daisy. So when you say it knows about me, So I use Claude GPT, a little tiny bit of Perplexity, not a lot. I don't use Gemini. I don't use
Grok,
Gronk. I don't use
Grok.
that one. And what's the other one? What's the Gemini?
Perplexity,
What's no
uh,
Microsoft?
Copilot. Copilot.
I don't use
Microsoft.
Copilot.
Yeah.
I don't use Copilot. So if I went to Copilot, I don't think I've ever used it. If I went to Copilot versus going to Claude that I use every single day, you're saying I would get two very different answers potentially?
Potentially, you can get two different answers, or not even the same answers at all. Like, not even one entity might not even, one LLM might not even know you at all versus the other one, because there's certain data sets that they use, certain use cases, certain places that they get their what they call citations from to recognize you, one, or directories that where you're listed. And then we got to look at also how, I don't want to get into the deep part of it, is that you got to think about, let's say Microsoft Copilot is meant for Microsoft products too, right? And so the type of searches, they're heavily on LinkedIn. They rely so much on LinkedIn for citations there. Was in and in Grok, it actually pulls a lot of information if you use X, right? X quite a bit. So of it is Grok is good for current events, because it pulls from its own data source first, and then it scours the web for the rest. And or how the one thing that's Grok is it's got very tight data sets. Gemini hallucinates quite a bit from my experience, although people say they love it. And I do love Gemini for a lot of the creative things, but I can show over and over again every time I test Gemini, not just for my own brand, but for other brands, it hallucinates and it doesn't get it. It assumes so much. And just from our session with Josh last week, is like AI's, how you use AI is like this probability of the words that you put in there. And Gemini relies so much. But I do want to clear a couple of things. And if you've noticed, Shira, when you go into a browser, right, you have got that AI mode thing going on. And what would you assume, because it's on Google, when it's on AI mode, what's the first impression that you get when it goes on AI mode? That it's using Gemini as the bot. You would think that, right? That's the assumption of most people. Why would it be, right? It would make sense, but it's not. Gemini operates differently.
Wait, Google's not using its own product to do the searching?
Not on the browser search. So even if you go to, there's a new browser called G.AI, and that's just the AI mode of Google. So if you look at it, and then if you look at it, it's actually an AI mode that scours the browser, that scours all the web in the browser. That's what they call GEO as well. It's a subset of AEO. So when marketers are telling you, you want to be seen by GEO, that's within Google. That's not the whole actual AEO. So now I don't want to get into deep, but AEO is applies to all platforms for LLMs. So I want to make those two distinctions for a lot of people. Yes, you have the same principles to do it. You can still appear. 95% of what it does, it will appear on all AEO. But what I want employers or people that are hyped about I want to be seen on GEO versus AEO, it's the same thing. It's actually AEO is the main character, GEO is a subset.
That's really interesting.
Google product, basically.
I don't want anybody to stop watching us. However, I would love, if anybody's interested, to go out and go to an LLM, ask the question, who am I? And then give us whatever answer you're getting if you feel comfortable enough to share it. I think that would be a fascinating thing to do, because, and is it right? Or just tell us yes or no if the first few things are correct, right? Or whatever it's saying is accurate, or if there's anything that's not super accurate. I'd love to know if anybody wants to go out and do that. If not, do it later and let us know. Give us a shout out and tell us.
We'll give you some more prompts that you can play with later on as we talk through this episode. But the main thing why I'm bringing this up is because 40% of searches throughout the world is now happening through AI tools. This is why I'm bringing this up. That's 40%. Not Google anymore, although it says an AI mode, it provides an AI mode, which still is AI, right? Think about it. And so how you put yourself out there as an organization or as a brand, and we got to remember, we are our own brand as solopreneurs, entrepreneurs. So we got to make sure us as the brand reflects also on what your company name is. So that's the main point, is that you're telling your story, and everything matches whatever platform, digital, everything's so digital right now, everything's connected to each other.
Right.
If you Google yourself, you are going to show up because it's the direct search. And then when
Right.
people say, I'm showing up on the AI mode, well, you are because you asked about yourself specifically. So it's going to search the web for you. So that's a
Right.
web search still, even on an AI mode for. Anyway, I don't want to go deep, but I want to make a
No, no.
distinction that your
I,
brand is important.
and I think that's interesting. So just quickly talk about, you said incognito mode. Why is that important to do it in an incognito mode versus I'm in Claude every day and I'm just doing whatever and I ask?
Well, because Claude already knows you, right? It already knows everything. You've fed it all your information, who you
Right.
are. And it already knows how wonderful you are, the problems you're trying to solve, right? Or if you throw in it basically it knows everything about what you're working for, what your product is. So of
Okay.
course, it really know you. So in an incognito mode, it's basically it doesn't remember anything. It's not linked to your logged in, your actual Claude that you pay for.
Okay.
So it's non-biased. It will actually do its own search and give you its actual truthful answer based on just
Okay.
generically, basically.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. Um, okay. So what's the next step, right? What am I going to do? I've got a new business. I'm in a business. I'm a leader in a business. Anybody, right? It doesn't have to be a new business. What am I doing to be known, to be, so that when I go on and start talking about what is the best thing, how are they going to know it's me? What does that look like?
Well, a
Or am I
couple of
jumping ahead here? I don't want to jump ahead.
no, you're not jumping ahead at all. There's so much to unpack with this conversation. So I also don't want to go in the road of as far as going deep into explaining things. I want to keep it as much high level as I can. So do ask the questions because I can go in teaching mode, because that's kind of what I do when I have with my clients. They ask, we'll go through an exercise of how do you want to brand yourself is the main question you're asking, Shira. How do I make sure that my branding is consistent? And how do
Mhm.
I make sure that I'm putting out the message so that when somebody says, who is the best momentum partner, diagnostic
Right.
momentum partner out there, you're going to show up. And so, how do you do that? Is your question. Well, make sure that those words are showing up on your website. Make sure that those words are showing up on your LinkedIn. You can't just say in your head, this is who I am, but not publish it or not say anything about it. Then
Right.
AI is not going to find you. So, words, how you put your words in, and every single digital footprint that you have needs to be consistent. That's the number one thing I'm going to say.
Okay, let me stop you there for just a second. Having built a business last year, I've spent a lot of time on my website, which is now, I encourage everyone to go out to my website because I want to know what you think because I just am 99% finished. But it was a lot of iterative work, right? To get the language right, to get the imagery right, to do all those things. And then I have a LinkedIn page. I have a LinkedIn business page that ties to me. I have an Instagram page for my business. I have a YouTube page for the business. Are you saying that all of that language needs to be the same?
Yeah. There's certain nuances about your entity, what I call an entity. And I base all these terminologies and how you can be seen through a framework, but not so far off too for what all the LLMs are the principles around LLMs and how they they vet the recommendations to the humans. So yes, it needs to be consistent because it's a machine. It
Okay.
learns through instructions, right? It's asked to look for certain things a certain way, and it
Mhm.
connects the dots. If you are, let's say, even and this is a prime example. I think it was yesterday that I showed you about the phone numbers being consistent in how it's typed in, whether you use a dash or a
Yeah.
dot,
Yes. Yeah.
right?
So even something that minor
Mhm.
can offset the connection of getting to someone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because validating, okay, I see the same names on four different digital, presence, right? And then it
Mhm.
goes one, two, three, all the same name, and then all of a sudden on your LLC, there's usually you type in without a comma with and then LLC for your company name, and then all of a sudden there's no comma on the last two or the last one or any other publications that you're showing, even your directories that you're signed up for, like let's say the Better Business Bureau, your Google business page. So all those have little nuances that it goes consistent, consistent. Oh, wait a minute, that might be a different one because it doesn't have the comma. It doesn't mean it's always going to happen that way, but AI can hallucinate and can go off on a different string or a different search if it's not that. It likes consistency. Yes, 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 the same, the same, the same. And then if it throws it off sometimes, it might go a different direction.
And so what does that mean exactly? If there's some little nuances that are off, does that mean it won't find me at all? Or it might miss things? Like what is the impact of that?
It will still find you, but it might then hallucinate with a different type of language in the bottom. I'll give you a good example. I just did this exercise this morning.
Okay.
I asked about, I think it was Daisy Watkins. Who is Daisy Watkins? Oh no, it was, who was DW Concepts? Tell me about DW Concepts. I went incognito with ChatGPT. It found me okay. I read everything it said about me. It was consistent. I went into Gemini and it said, tell me about Daisy Watkins. Guess what it says? That I'm a company, a branding company in Singapore.
Is there a Daisy Watkins? It's a branding company in Singapore?
There is none. There is none.
Oh.
All right. And then it was something about marketing, and then it hallucinated into something that I was then an architect somewhere else.
So you and I worked on this week because you're helping me and I'm loving it. And then I've been, you've been teaching me and I'm still learning. So this is great because it's still registering. But just today, because one of the things you told me, and I hope I'm not jumping ahead here, but one of the things you told me that I need to have on my website in order to get noticed are things like podcasts that I'm on as a guest, events that I've, been a speaker or all, what. And so I did my search of my company of Engage 3P today. And the first thing that popped up, or one of the first things that came up, were my Medium articles that I totally forgot because I have a blog on the website and I post those or versions of those out as Medium articles because I'm, trying to get other traction. So I forgot about that. I'm also set up a Substack channel, but I haven't done anything with that yet. So I'm not going to put that out there. But I forgot that I have 3 or 4 articles on Medium. And so I grabbed the logo and the link and I put it on my website because I can't believe I'm even able to do that. And so now that's up there, right? So that's another data point, but the search found it, right? The search found it along with the first thing was my LinkedIn profile. And then there was a couple other things. And then was the Medium.
Yeah.
The Medium.
You'll actually be surprised if you actually search for yourself or your company name, where you've forgotten you've been listed or what other sites are out there.
Yeah.
Frozen right now, I think.
That storm is.
So now I've got my mouth open while I am frozen. So excuse me. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Take you off and on. There you go. You're back.
Thanks, Shara. What was he talking about? See, now I lost my train of thought.
About what it's finding.
What it's finding. Just make sure that your information is correct. That's all. That's my main point. And if it's not correct, then make sure that you address it or find out how you can correct it. If you're in the AI world, you're probably going to AI it and see how do you resolve that piece. But a lot of it also is how you're also going to write there's some technical pieces to it. It's more than just your content. And that's a big misconception because I talk about content is the most important piece because that's what's drive information for Google to gather, right? Or for any of the LLMs to gather. They like data, they want content, they want words. But at the same time, there's some technical part to it, which is on the back end, which is what, if you do research it, it's going to call these schemas. Schemas basically tells AI, hey, in the website, that, hey, this is my section right here about me. Hey, this is the section about FAQs, and I'm going to answer a lot of questions that everyone's probably asking through that section. Hey, here's my blog section right here. Without those schemas, it can search your website. It will search your website just as if it was a Google search. Let's put it that way. But the schema digs deep into those So it's say if I schema on my blog, it will read basically all the articles I've written, and does it match the service and the brand I'm trying to sell? If your
So,
blog is talking about weight loss versus AEO and how you massage, how you help clients, or what the benefits are of doing it, it's going to
mhm.
know that you don't you're not credible enough. So it's basically telling you go deep.
That's so interesting. We're making the assumption here as we talk about this that we have control over our own data set, right? So you said if it's not right and it's on my website, I can fix it. If it's not right and it's on somebody else's website, then what? Right? I
Then
mean, then what? I mean, that hurts my reputation. Whoever that Daisy Watkins is in Singapore that's doing marketing, what are you going to do about her?
yeah.
Or if it's just blatantly wrong and, like you said, a hallucination by the engine, then what do you do about it? Right?
So
What
good question, Shira, because I challenged the incognito mode and going, I kept asking, please, did you visit the website? I even put the website of like the Liberty Concept website, or and so it kept just giving me the same answer or a mixture of, and then it all of a sudden the original answer of who that person was is totally different again. It made more hallucinations and more assumptions until I said, why are you not visiting the website? It kept fighting me. This is Gemini. It kept doing it again. And then I finally said, I'm really disappointed. Actually, it's probably still up here, and I can do a show and tell. I'm really disappointed because I am Daisy Watkins. I am the owner of DW Concept, and you got my information wrong. So it says, I apologize. I'm so sorry. I assumed based on the original question, and then it basically admitted that it made stuff up, excuse me. It made stuff up based on the original conversation. Then when it finally recentered itself or reset itself and actually went and found me as DW Concept as the entity, it then corrected, oh, I'm so sorry. And part of your role is to make sure that people are seen through AI, and I failed you.
So let me make sure I understand this. You're saying that the AI, the LLM, is giving you information that is incorrect. Okay, so that's why you go through and say, no, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, and you correct the AI to get it right. What I'm proposing here is it's giving you information that's out there and it's wrong. Right.
Mhm.
I mean, that's not an AI issue. That's a data issue, right? Somebody's out there putting something out there. Like I know without any question, there's zero chance there is another Shara Halixer on the planet. That's it. I know I'm the only one, right? When I would go and get a prescription filled, and they'd say, what's your name? What's your date of birth? I said, why do you need to know? I'm the only one. I don't need to announce this in CVS. Leave me alone, right? And so and I'm the only, there's only 8 Halixers in the whole world, I think, maybe 9. And I'm the only Shara. There's nobody else.
Mhm.
That's it, right? So if I see something that's out there and it has my name attached to it, it would reference me. Now, when I did the Google search, the first couple pages, I mean, everything was legit, right? I didn't have an issue with it. And when we did the AI search, it was good, right? We did the search on the business, we did the search on me, but if AI is finding data that's wrong, if something's out there that's incorrect and it finds it, and I don't think this is your expertise, so I don't really want to put you on the spot, but I think it's something that we can at least address with our viewers to say, what do we do then? Right? What's the recourse?
Well, it depends on the source or where it's posted, because it should tell you the sources of where it gathered this information most of the time.
Okay.
And nobody can see these little nuances. Google has, if you do Gemini, it's got, if you go to ChatGPT or all the other LLMs, there's this little hook or little links that says where they got that information from. Gemini doesn't have it. So it's a lot of hallucination within the Gemini platform to begin with. And so you're better. I personally, if you want to be seen there, we've made it happen. Now I can be seen, but it's the data sets they have. And we got to remember, AI feeds its information from a lot of public
Right.
publications, right?
Right.
And so
Right.
it gathers all this information. You have a machine that gathers everything, that's books, whatever, that they can grab a hold of. But if your website also hasn't been out that long, or you don't produce that much content consistently, I don't know when Google updates their data sets to pull that information immediately. So there's a lot of technical stuff. So each LLM has its own different nuances. But when I speak to a client, where would you want to matter the most to be seen? And if we want to look at statistics, you want to matter in ChatGPT. Gemini is there, but it's not my favorite. I'm just going to be totally honest. Gemini is the worst as far as giving you correct data. Perplexity is probably the best. You know why? Because Perplexity also uses those different LLMs within its own platform that you can directly ask it to search within those LLMs. So anyway, what I want to focus on to Shira is that the fact that outside from what we're talking about personal stuff and how we brand, is that do organizations actually know what's being said about them, right?
I was
As
just
the
thinking the
inside.
same thing, right?
And
That's exactly what I'm thinking of.
and then on the outside, what are their employees saying about them?
Well, so in our last two outside stories, we saw in our last two episodes, we saw one from 6-7 years ago and one that's more recent, employees talking about, we know about Glassdoor and Reddit and all the sites that are out there where people are promoting stuff. I would say that any organization, I don't care if it's one person or a million people, is going to want to, on some kind of regular basis, be going out there and looking at what's being said, right? And doing these searches on a regular basis on different platforms to know what's going on, right? It's best practice to know what's out there about us, personally and professionally, right? And so I would immediately say, look, big companies have huge marketing teams and they probably have organizations that work for them. And this is probably part of their protocol that they're looking at this stuff because they want to make sure that their reputation is protected. I would say do this. I'm going to share a tiny little story as we're on LinkedIn Live about LinkedIn because maybe they'll see it and call me. But I, in the last couple of weeks, had a really, really bad experience with LinkedIn. I'm very, very frustrated with some of the things, some of their policies and some of the things they've been doing. And so when something happened to me a couple of weeks ago and I started to write a letter, I did the research. Now, I will take a step back for a second. When I do my research, mostly in Claude, I ask for sites and I go and check those sites. I don't even just, I ask for the research, then I ask for the sites, then I click into those sites because I don't trust it, right? There's been too much hallucination, as you said. So just from a user perspective, double and triple check, right? Without fail. That said, I asked Claude to find for me research on this particular issue with LinkedIn and the policy change that they made earlier in 2025 and what is out there in terms of conversation about this issue. And the list was like this. It was enormous. In less than a year, all of the complaints, all of the frustration. I'm not the only one that was really frustrated about this. So I wrote my letter to the CEO of LinkedIn. I in-mailed it within LinkedIn. I never heard from anybody, which, that in and of itself speaks to the problem of this organization that nobody bothers to respond. And then I have decisions to make as to how I want to engage with this organization. That information is out there. That information was, and the responses and the things that I found were nasty. People feeling the same way I did about how frustrated they are with what LinkedIn is doing with some of their functionality and how it is affecting small business and how they're really moving away from their core tenet of we're here to help small business. By the way, over 95% of businesses in North America are small businesses. Like, it just really was very frustrating. And so as a business owner, as someone who works with both large and small companies, I think one of the first things that I would talk to them to ensure that what is out there is true and is valid and know what is impacting your organization. Because to your point, this is how people are searching.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good point, Sharon. This is why exactly my point to the difference between AEO, SEO, how you're going to be found is that make sure internally you know what's being said about you and what the messaging is out there. And where I want to emphasize it, there's three major gaps you want to look for as far as your visibility inside and outside. Is like your visibility gap. Are you even mentioned? That's the number one thing. And when you're mentioned, as AI mentions you, is there an accuracy gap? between the information that's being read outside versus what's internal. And then the favorability gap, which is what we talk about. How are you going to be recommended? Are you a solution to a problem? Do you have the answer to the human? And so those are the things. It's not so much about those little nuances and how all your content, but identify exactly if you have gaps in those three major things. There's other things you're going to look at, but these are the three major things as an organization to make sure that transparency is key. Number one also. So you might be mentioned, but one is saying something different about the other, because an AI, it's also going to mention red flags. You see those cautionary symbols on our X if you're a scam, all that type of stuff. So AI makes those assessment for you. It basically judges you. It vets you. So it's going to scour everything that it could possibly find. And if there's some inconsistency and, this is everything great about the company, but then if it sees a lot of reviews about you, about your organization, it's also going to go down on the bottom of the list going, if you want to see all the concerns about this organization, it's going to have in ChatGPT specifically, it'll have a big red X mark on it. Or it'll have a big caution, a symbol on it. ChatGPT rates you. It rates how it sees you to recommend you. And guess what, internally, Shira, when you are doing a search through AI, you may want to get results versus an SEO or a Google search. You have to click blue links, click, read about this different companies. Let's say you're finding you're a procurement person, right? Let's just use that example. Okay. You're trying to look for a new and you're trying to research who the best possible vendor or your options so you can present it to your CFO and which ones is going to be approved. So your job is to do the best research that you can, right? To present why is pricing important, is the delivery important, whatever those criteria are that you're looking for in that specific vendor to do that deliverable. When you do a Google search on a browser, it will click, bookmark, take that information, copy, paste information, and then you piece it all together by doing those clicks, right? AI, you ask one question, give me the top. Let's say you're looking for a catering service for an event as a procurement, looking for the best catering company that serves, that can hold, handle 200, at any given time. And then you give all the parameters around it. Right. In your case, you're speaking to it and you're going to tell everything that's on your mind, right? Or you type it and type away. Two differences, by the way, typing versus writing it. You're more fluid and you don't have writer's block or typing. This is why we speak to it. So think about it. You've given it all the parameters and filters basically to narrow down your search for what's important to you and the criteria that you need versus the other way of searching it, right? See the difference. Then in seconds, what happens? It gives you 3 or 5 recommendations. It's limited. On the Google search piece or browser search, you get 10 links to compare it to. Right. But then you also have to do the research, click. The other one, here are the top 3, here's why, and here's where they meet all your criterias. Okay. Right? Spewed out the criteria you need it for. And then it spews it all out and it gives you a general summary. Here are the top 3. You read through it, validate it. If you want to go further and research it, again, through your LLM, it gives you all the additional data, additional questions that you have. So then it vets it again to answer the question. And guess what? You have an answer within 5 minutes, and then even have it do a report for you to present to your CFO to be approved. Those are the differences. How are you going to show up on the top 3?
Well, so I want to get to how does Engage 3P show up on the top 3? Before we get to that, though, what I'm envisioning is I do a Google search, right? I do a Google search, and what I get, because this just happened to me and I'm unbelievably frustrated. I don't remember exactly what I was searching, but I was looking for some app, something, and I think it was to create images or something. I'm not exactly sure. And I did it, and then because I put the name in for the URL of the company, and then I clicked it, and then it said, oh, you have to pay for whatever. And I paid. It was like $19.99, and I paid. And then I'm like, this doesn't look familiar. And then I realized it was the wrong site. It was the wrong site, and it was the first one at the top of the page when I put in the name of the company. So what is that about? Why is a different company coming up?
So this is on Google, you said, right? Like, why is it? Yeah. Um, good question. It does show up again. Things can happen. We can't control how machines are doing probabilities on everything that we type in. So even in a Google search, phonetically, it admits that it can get phonetics wrong. It assumes a lot of stuff.
I just know that what was interesting, it pushed me more into the LLMs for exactly the reason that you said, because I was looking for something to create something. I don't remember what it was, but I was looking for something to create something, and so then I thought that was the name, and then it didn't, but it gave me like, I remember when I say like it's sponsored, right? It's the sponsored link that floats to the top, and I'm trying to do 73 things at once. I'm just clicking, clicking, click. No, I think what I would rather do going forward is stay in my LLM, say, what is this? Give me that link. And then from there, link out. Don't go to Google to search for it. That gives me the wrong thing.
So, on to that point, I'm sorry, I missed that. I should answer that properly.
No, it's
So,
okay.
on the browser side, if you first look at it, it's just a regular search, right? It's a search behavior, keyword search. Okay. It will give you what it sees as the word. The first top right now, because we have is the AI mode. This is where you're going to have a little snippet. The next part is who sponsored, who paid within that industry or those keyword searches, because I want to appear on those keyword searches as sponsored. So some of them, if you notice, it will say, you will see the first, the word or the company that you're looking for. But then if you don't look at the actual website address,
yes, that's what happened.
which is switcheroo. It means that it referred it based on the keyword search that you put in, but not necessarily the site or even the industry it belongs to. Because it's paid, that's the difference.
So I notice this a lot now that you're saying this. I notice this a lot when I do hotel searches. If I search for a property, it will give me like hotels.com or booking.com, not the actual hotel at the top. And I've learned that the hard way, because then I'm annoyed and it goes to the other thing. So I knew that, but I didn't catch it on this one.
No, and sometimes we don't, because we are just so fast. We see it in the corner of our eye, we click on it, and then all of a sudden, did I get scammed? Like, what's going on? Because we don't pay attention. So we rely now on LLM to do that probability search. And then if you see it's totally wrong, then you recorrect itself. Whereas in a keyword search, it does keywords. That's why it's called keyword search. It doesn't do the probability of assuming that it might be this answer as well.
So I want to make sure, because I've talked so much on this one. We have 15 minutes left, and I want to make sure we do our weekly segment, The Outside Story, because I think you've got a really good one for this week. And I'm kind of excited about it. And to my Canadian friends and anyone who's maybe watching us from the Great White North, apologies if you're an Air Canada fan, but do you want to talk about it a little bit and share the details?
I'm also Canadian, so I'm going to own it. So I grew up in Calgary, Alberta. So this story is about somebody trying to get on an Air Canada flight. They're flying for bereavement, a death in the family. So they called Air Canada to ask about their bereavement policy. It was answered by a bot, an AI bot. Okay. It says, I'm flying for bereavement. It did its thing. I think we have an image for that one too. The point is, it talked to the bot and it says, oh yeah, go ahead and fly and I'll refund you, or we'll give you the reimbursement of what that policy is when you get back. Like, okay. So this is a customer that took what the bot said, and I'm sure, like every other customer service phone call we have, this call is being recorded, right? So, so they flew, and then when they tried to get for the reimbursement, they got denied by Air Canada. It's saying that it's not in our policy. You have to be pre-approved before you fly so that we can issue you the refund or the difference that we promised for that fare, or the discount for that fare.
Oh gosh.
So they sued Air Canada and said, this is what you said, so you have to honor what you said. And they kept arguing, it's not in our policy. They even showed the policy that they have. That's And guess who won? The customer won, because
Sure.
it's what your company said on the outside. It, the customer doesn't know, the bot didn't know to refer to the actual policy, right? Or did you put that instruction so that the bot actually responds properly? So that's the outside part, meaning that you have a policy, make sure that whatever you put out there is automated. As
Yeah.
if you automate something, make sure that your data, your information, your policies are correct if they're going to quote it. So,
Always.
so this is
Yeah.
where making sure the inside is checking what the outside is saying, so that
Right.
you don't get into these lawsuits, or you don't get
Right.
into these, dilemmas that the people are now experiencing.
Well, and then, take that a step further, right? So, mistakes happen. We get that, right? If we're not double checking, if we're not making sure, what I see then is the secondary outcome of that is now something that is public knowledge. That is
Correct.
something that is out in the sphere of. And what we know about that is that social media picks this stuff up. It may or may not be true when it gets, this down the line, like when we were kids and we played the telephone game, and it's impossible to take care of it all. It's impossible to be 100% all the time. The impact today in the age of social media and the age of knowledge and the way that it is how easy it is to find these things and to make
Mhm.
judgments around it and to make decisions around it. And that to me is really, as a business owner and somebody who really cherishes my reputation, is what gets out there and how do we make sure that we're taking care of that, right? As much as
Mhm.
I want them, as someone to do a search and say, and it come up and says engage 3P and Shareaholics are the best at helping you with your business. I want to make sure it doesn't say horrible things that aren't true. I don't want to say horrible things anyway, but I don't want it to say horrible things that aren't true. And then I'm fighting that battle as well, right?
Mhm.
And listen, I am a TikTok voyeur. I am not a participant, but I am definitely a voyeur. And I got looped into some crazy story just this morning. I'm like watching this thing. I'm like, oh, this is nonsense. It was nonsense. I think I'm
It
gonna
is.
be really honest. I think it was the whole Beckham situation with his kids. Like, I think that whole I don't know. I don't know. It was like but it was entertaining. So,
So the point is also is that just make sure that you are looking at all your information out there. What you're publishing is like to your point, what you publish is going to be out there. It's you can do reputation management, but it's harder. But even through reputation management, I'm going to tell you a true story. A client that I'm working with, she got caught up in this. She partnered with somebody. The partner is the one that got sued, but she guilty by association kind of situation, and her information was all over the documents that during the case, and so she was affected by it, although they her record and her documents show she was not found guilty. As you know, news, if it's scandalous in your own community, right, even if it's
right.
small, even if the articles are written within the city, just the city that she's in, and but it's
Mm,
just DOJ, it's out there.
that's right.
What you put out there is out there. And how do you
Forever.
manage it? This happened over 10 years ago.
Yeah,
And
but
it's
it's still
still
there.
causing her stress personally, because she knows it's there, even though she knows she's not guilty. But
Right.
every time somebody brings up her brand or her
Yeah,
name, it keeps showing up. It might not show, but how do you repair that? Is there a way to repair that? Two things. Yes, you can repair it by by amplifying your content. It just pushes that article down lower and lower. It's still not going to be erased. It's still going to be there. Um, and the only way you can do it is like tell the publication to drop it. She's tried that route. It didn't work because it's
there
already
are there are
it's
legal ways of
already in
doing that.
there. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so the main part is that, okay, I know you both know you're not guilty. Let's be transparent about it. Let's talk
Yeah.
about it, because the question is she credible? Can I trust her? Is she trustworthy? And that's what
Right.
we want to do. So the game plan for that is let's address it straight on.
Right. Right. Well, that's where the authenticity and the transparency comes in every single
And
time.
this is where the branding becomes important. So if they see it,
Right.
then immediately it's addressed not just to her website, or she talks about it on every podcast. One of the things that I have issues with about my brand is that I got this bad reputation based on an article that's now false. And then what we're going to go a step further with this is that we're going to get that document, redact some stuff, and it will show the non-guilty piece of it. So authenticity and making yourself really vulnerable is the
Yeah.
key. Even vulnerability, but just being truthful and addressing it straight on is the key.
I
So
love it. Hi, Jeanette. Good to see you there. I'm glad you saw that we messed up the time. All right. I love all of this. And Daisy, I want you to share how you are helping your clients, how they can reach out to you. I'm gonna put a little picture up here right now that has all our contact information on it. But what are you doing to help your clients do this work? Because I'm fortunate, we're partners in the glass house. So I get a little an inside help, but there's so many out there. And I think you can be so helpful for people in business and individually even, right? It doesn't matter, right? Because people are applying for jobs and they're getting on into situations, how you can help them.
So a couple of things. So where I see a lot of people that are my clients right now are actually in the small business space, and
Okay.
actually solopreneurs and entrepreneurs are my key clients right now. Is identifying themselves, right? I know who I am. I've got all these accolades. I've got all these experience, but how do I sell myself? Number one, it's also branding. It's rebranding. So
Okay.
I've got different, so we do consulting, I can do it for you, or you can do it together. A lot, obviously, in the community that we're in, a lot of AI people want to learn to do it themselves. So
Mhm.
there's that package. And I also have some courses and modules and guides that you can use. But you can find me in LinkedIn, but go to LumaPath.ai. That's where majority of, a plethora of information, how you can avail of the services and the consulting and all the other stuff that we have. But I also want to encourage somebody. So we have this app that you can do a quick test, like quick AI visibility. It takes 2-3 minutes. It scours your website really quickly. It gives you an overview of where the gaps are that I've identified, the 3 major gaps. And then from there, it will give you little snippets of why this is important. And then you get a free 15-minute consult with me. And then I give you a little mini full-on audit, kind of like the one I showed you, Shira, the one I gave to you for
Yeah.
your website.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
wait
Exciting. I
again,
like.
I'm gonna go through all that, and then you've got some information you can take with you, whether you want to do it yourself or you want to work with me. So that's where you can find me.
Well, I would recommend everyone work with you, of course. But the other thing that we're doing that we're so excited about and wanted to take a minute or two and let everyone know about it. We have launched the Glass House workshops. There'll be more coming on our websites. Yeah, we launched the first one last week. The first cohort started last Tuesday, and we're going to be launching the next one in February. And so stay tuned for a lot more information. Again, if you're interested, reach out to us on LinkedIn, on email, wherever you can find us, and all the places you can find us. And we'll tell you more about it. It's very exciting. There are 3 levels of this podcast: a foundation level, a kind of intermediate movement level, and then a thrive level. So depending on where you are in your business and individually, we can help you look at your business and what you're doing from the inside out. So if you're thinking about opening a business, if you started a business, if you're struggling in your business, if you are thinking about making a career change, anything that you're doing, we look at it, we take this whole podcast, the glass house theory, and we take it deeper. We work with you one-on-one within the workshops and on the side to help go through all of this step by step. So you get a lot of really interesting information and really terrific ways to improve your inside and your outside,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And some of the positive reviews that we've received so far from our cohorts is that there's a lot of aha moments that I didn't think about. They've
Yeah.
been so stuck in the rhythm of what they do on a daily basis, and then they forget that, did they take a peek at this particular part of your business? Did you really identify who your real customers are that you should be selling to? So there's a lot of aha moments. So I hope you guys, we're going to launch the next one pretty soon. So watch out for that, or contact us directly, and we'll get you hooked up right away. So thanks, Shira.
Yeah, we'd love to talk to people. I think one of the things that I'm loving about it is they're limited in size, right? This is not a course that is going to be 50 people and nobody, not everybody's on screen. It's very intimate, right? We want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to share. There's a lot of work that we're doing. To your point, the aha moments have been really fascinating. And I think it's true with anything, right? The way that we see ourselves is not necessarily the way the world sees us. And it's very hard when we're in the muck of it to see what's really going on, right? We look in the mirror and we think we're seeing something. I heard something, I don't remember what I was looking at, but it's the way we hear ourselves. So physiologically, the way that sound it works when we speak is that we're hearing it from the outside and we're hearing it from the inside. Well, we all know that if we ever hear a recording of ourselves, right, how we go, that doesn't sound like me. That's not who I am, right? It's because we're only hearing it one way. And so
Yes.
we're only hearing it from the outside. So if you put your finger up to your ear and close off one of your ears and start speaking, you start to hear both. It's fascinating. And I think that that's how I look at what we're doing, right? We're a clear set of eyes and ears on what people are doing, right? You and I both have the funniest thing in common is that we both come from the recruiting world, right? I spent years and years and years in recruiting. I spent many years as a chief people officer. I know HR technology inside and out. And so I come to it, and I've also been in sales, and I come to it from all of those different perspectives. And you too, and I think that have a recruiting background, which gives us an opportunity to look at things in a very different way than other people see it, because we're used to placing people, right? Finding homes for people. And so I think that's a really interesting perspective.
Absolutely. And then we represent those people, to also either remove the perception of an individual to the employer we're presenting them to. And also, as you go through this exercise for the workshops, we have our own perceptions of ourselves. So how do we say, no, look at that mirror right now. This is what we see because this is what you see in your own mirror. So let us be your mirror without that mirror. So basically, so good points here. Lots to unpack. There's always something to talk about in this series. So let's talk about our next one coming up.
I'm so excited. Next week at the right time, 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern. We're going to be joined by a very good friend of mine, Marcus Mossberger. Marcus and I worked together at Infor for many, many, many years, and he is a joy. And he just took on a shift in his career that's very exciting and joined a new organization. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk a little bit about the tsunami of what's happening with data and information and talk about workforce strategy, which is something I love talking about and is really interesting. And he's a lot of fun. He's a great, great human being, and he'll be joining us next week. There'll be more on that in the next day or so on LinkedIn and everywhere where we find things. And I want to say thank you again, Daisy. This is so much fun. I'm enjoying this tremendously, truly.
Truly. I mean, we're learning from each other. We're learning from our feedback. So thank you so much for those that continue to follow us. And again, please continue. We have lots in store for you. So thank you for joining us today.
I'm going to say one last thing for anyone out there who wants to. I love the like and subscribe. That's great. Please do. If you like what we're doing, share it with your friends. If you are interested in being a guest on our podcast, on our LinkedIn Live, we would love to have you. If you have a position on this that you want to talk about, if you have something that is of interest, we would love to have you. Reach out to us by all the means necessary, and let's talk about it and have you as our guest.
Sounds good. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Have a wonderful
day. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.